Ladies and gentlemen, a very short and sweet video just showing you what exactly I'm looking at for Bitcoin right now. What are my scenarios? What are my levels that I'm watching? What are the invalidations for those levels? Where does Bitcoin need to get back above in order to be bullish? And where does it need to drop below in order to be bearish? That's kind of the questions we're looking at today. We're looking at a few important lines and structures. Just a quick little note here. We have CPI coming out in about an hour from the time I'm filming this. By the time I release the video, it will be out. So if there are significant price deviations, just know that that is not a problem. All the content discussed in this video is more macro related rather than short-term related. So yeah, expect CPI data to toss up the price action a little bit by the time this is out. But yeah, look, let's get into it straight away. We've got the S&P 500, as we know, just absolutely blazing to the upside, right? S&P 500 is up significantly from April 19th. It is up all the way 13-14%, which is just huge, right? This is a market that averages 7% yearly returns for the last 100 years. It's up 14% in 3 months, okay? It's really 2.5 months, actually. It's unprecedented price action. It's just massively bullish. And in the meantime, Bitcoin, since that same period of time, right, the 20-something, let's just say 23rd of April, Bitcoin is down 12%. So S&P is up double its average yearly return in 2.5 months, and Bitcoin's down. I mean, this is a clear representation of the deviation that Bitcoin has seen towards traditional markets, right? Bitcoin's just been deviating for such a long period of time here, about 2-3 months now, that, you know, that we will eventually reconnect, because all of the narratives that drive the S&P 500 to the upside also drive Bitcoin to the upside and drive all risk assets to the upside. And so this is a deviation for that reason. Bitcoin is acting abnormally. And that's why I'm not really too concerned about short-term price action. That's the main reason why I'm bringing this video, purely to discuss the medium-term and longer-term price action. So with that said, let's actually dive into that price action. Just a quick note here before we do so, BingX and Bitcoin. I advertise the exchange on the YouTube channel. These two exchanges on this YouTube channel, they're both very low in trading fees. They have both never been hacked before, okay, which is quite a big thing. And they both offer you massive rewards for signing up, okay, 5,500 USDT on Bitcoin and 4,000 USDT on BingX. Just for using my referral link down below and signing up, you get a chance to win those rewards. And you also, if you don't win them, you will get a permanent, guaranteed 15% trading fee discount on every single buy and sell. So massive discounts and rewards with my links down below. They're both global non-KYC exchanges, which is a big deal as well. A lot of exchanges are going KYC. A lot of my community are having trouble accessing exchanges. That's not a problem here. So sign up with my links down below if you're interested. Let's get into the content. Right, so S&P 500 and Bitcoin deviating. Bitcoin's acting abnormally. There's been abnormal price action really not only just in the last couple of months, but also just since ETFs in general, okay? Bitcoin moved upwards too high, too quickly, ever since ETFs, and it's not surprising to see abnormal price action and bearish results here. You know, we've seen a drop below this 13-year ascending support line, which has previously been very important for Bitcoin, drop below that. In the process of doing so, we also dropped below the bull market support band. Okay, bull market support band, everyone knows that. That's a very important indicator. It's an indicator that held up the entirety of the bull market in 2021, minus this deviation here. And even with that deviation, once we got back above it, we flipped it for support. We went upwards to all-time highs. And once we broke back down below it, we flipped it for resistance and entered a bear market, right? It's a very important line. In 2017, it was even more important. It held throughout the entirety of a 2-year period, and it only broke at the start of the bear market. So bull market support band is just one example. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of them. It's all just the same story. It's just critical levels that have always been important, breaking to the downside, probably due to the fact that, as I said before, Bitcoin moved too fast and now it has to step backwards and take a breath. And so that is technically a cyclical deviation. And that is, again, explainable in the fact that we've seen a broader deviation from what traditionally drives Bitcoin to the upside, which is the same thing that drives S&P to the upside, which is currently not having an effect on Bitcoin, right? So the whole market environment right now is being murked. It's being murdered, you know, with just abnormal price action abnormalities. And there's no real telling about when those abnormalities will come back or will go away. You know, there's no real telling about when Bitcoin will return back to what it usually moves based on. But eventually it will. We've seen these periods of deviation before. Eventually it will. And eventually Bitcoin will most likely end up jumping back to the upside because, again, everything that normally brings Bitcoin to the upside is still bullish, which is seen in the fact that the S&P is seeing an absolute rampage right now. So eventually Bitcoin's going to return back to normal. But we shouldn't just be blindly assuming it's going to do that. We should actually still be looking at TA. But as we're seeing abnormal price action, the short-term TA doesn't really matter to us too much. We're looking at medium-term, long-term. And I'll show you specifically what I'm looking at, right? So, for example, if we're looking at medium-term, I'm looking at this kind of hurdle. I've labeled it the hurdle between 61K and 56.5K. It's between the two solid green lines. That, in my opinion, is the major resistance zone that Bitcoin needs to get back above. We know very well that 61K was the base of this entire range that we held for a 3-month period. And so we do need to get back above that in order to get back into decent territory on a short-term basis for Bitcoin. And probably, when that occurs, we will have reconnected to what traditionally drives Bitcoin upwards, and we will have reconnected to traditional markets in general. And obviously breaking 61K, or it's not obvious because I haven't said it yet, but it's obvious when I tell you here, breaking 61K isn't just a good thing because we're breaking back into a macro range. It's a good thing because we're also breaking above, look at the yellow lines on the screen, breaking above a massive descending wedge formation. And we will also be breaking above this pink line, which was previously a major uptrending support line, which is actually currently acting as resistance. So all of those things will be broken back to the upside upon getting back above 61K. Not only that, but again, the level bull market support band, I discussed this before, that will also be broken back to the upside. And we know how important that is. I just showed you a few minutes ago. So 61K for me personally is basically where Bitcoin needs to get. Until we're at 61K or above 61K, preferably, until we're above that region or at that price region, Bitcoin is technically in a bad position, right? That's a simple reality. And so we're in a bad position right now, but we need to not make the situation worse, okay? So we're in a bad position right now, but we're still within striking distance of getting back into a decent position. And it is conceivable that, this is all just a deviation. It is conceivable that we moved up too fast, too quick. We have to come back down to this price region. But if the drop continues occurring, that becomes less and less likely. And what actually becomes more likely is Bitcoin's just wrecked, right? So me personally, I'm watching very closely this line right here in red. It's a major ascending support line, right? I don't just mean major. This is big stuff here, right? And I mentioned this the other day, and a lot of people in the comments were like, oh, you're just drawing random lines. No, it's not a random line. The fact that it's identifiable means that it's a valid line. I didn't just make it up, right? I didn't make up this line. This line was identifiable, meaning it's valid. This line stems back from 2019. It cuts through the bull market price action. It acted for resistance right here. It acted for support over here in July. It led to the July bottom. It led to the bottom in January 2022, which we held for a period of months before dropping down into a bear market. When we were going to get back into a bull market, on the day of ETF approval, we wicked and rejected from this line. When we got back above that line, we tested it for support before going back to the upside. And on that vicious drop we saw just a couple of weeks ago, a massive drop to the downside, Bitcoin cutting 4,000 USD off the price action in a matter of minutes. Where did we bottom out? We bottomed out right on top of this line. So this is not a random line that I've just picked out of thin air. This is a very major line that was basically the foundation of the 2021 bull market, right? We held it for the entire bull market, and when we lost it, cool, bear market territory. A very important line. And this line right now did actually mark the low at 53K where we went. And so I am willing to say that if we drop below this line, we are in terrible situation for Bitcoin. Now we can briefly go below it because the channel, the wedge formation I mentioned in yellow actually does stem below that line briefly. So if we go below the red line and we touch the bottom of the wedge and then break to the upside, that's not a breakdown, that's a deviation and just actually quite bullish one. But if we properly break down below it and we end up down here in the high 40K territory, yeah, Bitcoin's not looking good at all. And that deviation will be way too significant for me to be willing to just, give it the benefit of the doubt. I would be genuinely bearish at that point. So yeah, that's the line I'm watching right now. And as for the medium-term charts, 61K is the level we need to get back over. Does it look like we're going to get back over it? It does. I don't think the charts look too bad right now. I really don't think they do. I don't know how you could say the charts look bad when we've got a massive descending wedge. Now, obviously, CPI is coming out very, very shortly, so it might change things up a little. But provided Bitcoin remains above, this wedge itself, this is overall a bullish structure still. I do believe there is a pretty decent likelihood at this point. It's impossible to confirm. It's impossible to be too confident about. but there is a likelihood that is growing, that's for sure, that we do reconnect with the 4-year cycle. And that's something I've discussed in multiple videos before. And that kind of excuses the drops we saw the other week from these previously critical levels, such as bull market support band, etc. If we are just taking a break here and taking a step back and trying to reconnect to the 4-year cycle, which we were previously well ahead of, it would be a necessity to actually break down below those levels, because those levels are uptrending, right? We couldn't have held them. So yeah, look, interesting stuff all around the board, but I hope I've kind of explained my position right now on Bitcoin and what I'm looking at specifically. But yeah, keep an eye out for CPI, guys, and we'll give you an update on what happens with CPI in tomorrow's video. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please go ahead again and check out these exchanges. BingX and Bitunix, my rewards and discounts available with my referral link are all down below. Help out the channel. Click on those links and sign up. Takes 30 seconds. It's non-KYC. And then also, if you want to actually gain access to a more exclusive group, right? A group where you can discuss the market with other VIP members, with other paying VIP members, right? 120 of them to be precise. You can trade altcoins with my altcoin trading signals that I post 4 times a week with a 78.5% win rate over the course of 18 months. You can get in there and you can do that in the VIP group on Telegram. It's our exclusive group. Our trading results are fully transparent. Everything's transparent in there. You can check it all out and throw me a DM there on Telegram. I'll set you up with a membership if you're interested. And then finally, the Crypto Academy's Become a Trader 10-unit course is on sale right now, meaning you can get a discounted price for a limited time on this course that teaches you how to trade in a university-style format. This is a very reasonably priced course. It's also very extensive, okay? 30 hours of content, going into everything. You can go and see the course outline on the website here. 10 units, literally everything you need to know. 95, let's say 95% of the things you need to know about trading are offered on this course. So check it out if you're interested. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you tomorrow with an update on that CPI price action.